joined into the game. And we are starting with the second game then. And it's going to be on Tundra, which is the home map of AoL's. I would be expecting they might be attempting something like attempted in the first match. That was a fast attack on Atlantean and try to kill him before he advances into the next age and gods. Yeah, that's definitely not going to be that. Sorry. It's Loki Isis against Isis Ra Oranos. Double Aegis on Tundra. That's kind of unusual choice overall. Really unusual. And we are seeing that one of the Aegis is going to be in the pocket. Of course, kind of makes sense. That has to be that way. And it's going to be Destroyer as an Isis. That's going to be pretty powerful for AoLs. And let's see how he's going to be able to use those Caribous together with the back TC and the Elks in also pretty advantageous position right up the front tower. Gold pretty much safe as it can be because you can see forest line at the back, TC front, and from the other side we are seeing tower. So this is absolutely great gold for an Egyptian. And we are also seeing that he has already discovered some extra hunt at the back, and that's going to be Aurochs. Just a fun fact, I've already mentioned it somewhere before, but Aurochs, if you don't know what it is, that's actually a precursor to today's cow. These guys were around until like Middle Ages all over the Europe. They were like normal in the wilderness, and they were also as basically cattle for food and such. But they were a whole lot bigger and also a whole lot more aggressive. So that kind of explains why they are attacking you and not really running away or anything like that. But that was just a bit of a history discourse in here, as we are looking at Puma, who is the second Isis right now on the left, and will be facing against another Isis, wide awake, and that's pretty much the same matchup as we have seen in the last game, but this time with the civilizations a bit different. Based on how we have actually seen the game, I'm kinda going to be favoring Puma a bit, even though Wide Awake didn't really play half bad, but it was looking like that he was having kinda struggles against an Oranos, and looking like actually Isis with faster heroic is actually better, or rather is quite nicely set up against an Oranos. I'm thinking that Puma should be slightly better player in this matchup in there, but maybe I'll be proven wrong. Let's wait. Iron Maiden having also pretty nice hunt, of course, ×2. Gold is kinda openish, even though there's the tree line for at least some kind of defense. So Turmas cannot be there, still it's wide open from the bottom, so potentially that could be a problem, and maybe even from the right side. If the opponent is careful enough, he might be somehow evading the TC, but otherwise a lot of hunt, serious lot of hunt, right next to the front TC, and next Aurochs with Polar Bear and an Egyptian Skyfire, who is also on the right flank, is taking what? Oh ho ho, better 5% human soldier pierce armor. Well, that's definitely something that AoLs will not be happy about. Cavalry speed on the left, that's actually pretty nice. Especially since we have seen for the red player, for example, that he was going for a cavalry. So of course counting as cavalry. Relic for foot trickle. Nothing groundbreaking, and behind their bases we are seeing better ball hit points. That could actually be making all the difference in here, as this map is potentially something that could be used in there. By being cast, Super As is also cast, Shockwave. In some kind of interesting position, and where was it actually cast? I'm kind of thinking it was cast on this dude, as he was somehow trying to kill it. Which isn't a bad idea. And if he can actually catch him, but he probably cannot, he needs to be careful, Siamon, and not to really give the relic to his opponent. That would be pretty sucky. In Loki's hands, that would be quite powerful. The better Pierce armor for them. Otherwise, better Doxots, Chariots, throwing Axeman hit points. A very nice relic yet again. So pretty nice relics on the map overall, and we should be looking at temples already being built as we are at 330, but it's looking like that the Egyptians are not hurrying anywhere, which means that they are probably aiming for faster heroic, pretty much all of them. Going for unsafe hunt because he can afford it, why not? That's going to be just one opponent raiding, and it's going to be low probability that he's going to be choosing just yellow. He might be a bit more interested in actually fighting with Iron Maiden, and if Iron Maiden can basically bind him the early game, might be just enough to actually gather all the difficult resources for Puma and give him an edge above his opponent, who is just now finishing with the temple and going to be aiming for the next ages sometime soon. We are expecting Prometheus at the top, of course. On the right side, so far still nothing, as he has deposited basically the Thundercloud Shawl. Whereas on the right, Forset is already coming in with 25%, and second temple right inside the base. So we are fairly certain that there's going to be a lot of raiding going on from both the blue and the teal player, but let's see who's better the game overall. So far, the Relic's going for purple, and it's definitely going to make a lot of difference in the fights to come. Decent goal, decent hunt behind the bases. Don't really see any kind of problems. DC's decentish position, even though this is kind of useless. It's not really going to help in anything, but same could be said about actually the position on the other side of the map, because this is a front from wide awake, and that's kind of terrible. Doesn't really do anything at all. Maybe could be said that it's kind of half a guardian, at least this gold, but otherwise not really anything all that great. So yep, it's 2 obelisks from both of these players. It's not really all that awesome. This DC is kind of tricky for Skyfire, because it seems like that it's not really all that far away, but it's not really close, and especially for an Egyptian. So since he's facing against a Loki, this might be kind of tricky for him to capture, but if he does capture it, which he definitely should, this gold will be quite useful for him, and I would be expecting the drop in a Migdol to protect the gold and the TC, and only then going for the TC might be working for him. But he's going for a 2 TC faster heroic. That's a bit of a switch from what probably the red player will be attempting to do. By going through Bust. White, of course. Let's bring it in there. 15 cents for Skyfire. That's different. There's going to be some extra thought behind it, but sorry. I kind of thought that he's ISIS as well, but he isn't. He's actually rare. So of course, 15 cents make a whole lot of sense. And let's see if Iron Maiden, he should be getting rid of the towers, no problem. So of course, once you are under them, they do not shoot unless you have the burning pitch, or what is it? Upgrade. Granulations. No, that's buildings. Boiling oil. Yeah, boiling oil. That's the one. But yeah, you should be getting rid of it. Oh, that's not a good idea. That's not a good idea. Definitely should have finished with it. Even if he had lost the village units in there, he would have basically opened his opponent from that side. That could have been a pretty good opportunity to go for the gold and for the farms as well. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure I agree with the decision, but still we are seeing a bit of raiding on the left, as the wide awake is not anymore safe with the hunt. Well, unfortunately for Puma, the priest is at the correct place at the correct time, so yeah, he's going to be pretty much safe, and it seems like they are basically exchanging the pleasantries in here. Yeah, that's that. Little Promethean dying. Is anybody actually taking advantage of these farms? Oh. Somebody didn't shift click. Somebody didn't shift click. That was a long wait in there. And it's kind of curious that not even the ISIS on his team isn't actually using the rain as he could be. As an Egyptian, he definitely could be doing a bit different build-up, making use of all those farms and getting him some extra food. And well, even for the later advance, I think it will be worth it, as those little things really make a difference. And if you can maximize the bonuses from your team, are of course going to be getting ahead, as team games are much more than about individual performances, about the cooperation. And DC, yeah, no, going to be having to wait a bit once he gets home with all those archers. Otherwise, yeah, he's going to lose the Skrelin and Ulfsark. He's right now safe home, so he should be having a pretty easy time of capturing it. But I kinda would like if he maybe even went for the front TC, but since he doesn't have any kind of cover, and his opponent is expectedly going to be advancing into the next age sometime soon, even though he still isn't, he's still booming, should be expecting that that would be the case. It would be a bit risky. But well, here we've seen Puma going for the Ancestors and trying to stop the Migdol. So let's see, that's going to be quite tricky for him. He needs to get rid of the Pharaoh. Oh no, this is not well played. You should be using all those Ancestors and kill the Pharaoh, because the Pharaoh is killing the Ancestors, and then get rid of the villages. That wasn't ideally played. He's right now going to lose a whole lot of them to the Pharaoh. Which is of course a shame. Could have played it slightly better, but in the end, it doesn't really matter in the end all that much, because all he needed to do was basically stop this Migdol, and that's what he succeeded in, which should give him a pretty big advantage. Because where is this Migdol? Right next to the TC, as he's capturing it as well, and oh man, This is going to be very tough in the ISIS battle for wide awake, as even though Superas is right now arriving with help, this is going to be taking some extra time to finish. Of course, going to be seeing some mythic, or rather some units from the Migdol already, and they are trickling in. And if he plays this correctly and targets the dead ones first, which he isn't, but it doesn't really matter all that much because of the Scorpion. Villager dead, and if he gets some extra chariot archers in there, he is going to be pretty much fine to prevent anything like what the red player is attempting. And well, let's just return everything back to normal, which is this way. Fortunately, you cannot really rotate the map in the other way around, so it was very nicely played by Puma. And he should be really, right now, in very strong upper hand above his opponent. And it's going to be pretty tough for Wide Awake to get back into the game. This is a huge difference, but we are seeing Ancestors here as well, which are more of a defensive, I think. He basically just wants to make sure that he finishes with the Migdol. Well, with one villager, good luck. And with that, just not sending them in. This was kind of weirdly cast, but he's basically thinking that with the Ancestors and the small army from Superas, he can do some damage to his opponent, essentially on the gold. And, well, I don't really agree with it. I think that was kind of just overreaction to the situation. But let's see, maybe it will just do some damage, because unfortunately Puma isn't paying enough attention. He's gonna lose some villages too. This Ancestor Radiant, and let's see if the Ancestors are going to be able to get rid of the TC at least. So far I wouldn't count on it all that much. Yeah, there's going to be a bit of micro with the Pharaoh, of course, going on. On the right, we have seen a bit earlier that Iron Maiden has successfully finished with the second TC. And looking at the minimap, Destroyer is already at 3. And this was kind of a waste, I think. But let's see, maybe it achieved what it needed to do. Finally, the Migdol is up, and of course, Elephants are right now going to be the unit of choice, which is correct against Cavalry, or rather Chariot Archer spam. And let's move to the right side, where Skyfire is having a bit of fun, trying to capture the front TC for himself. It's going to be very important because of the gold yet again. Superas into Heroic, as Ornov, Snowhild, and his company are right now going back. Very nice wall, and this is basically just for strategical purposes, so that he can run behind the wall, rather behind the gate. And looking at upgrades, Iron Maiden is the only one who isn't, and here we see a bit of raiding at the back and locusts. So this is definitely what Ras do. It doesn't seem that it has actually killed all that many villies, like about 2-3 maybe. At the Oxcart, that's a bit more important. Of course, the downtime in economy is going to be noticeable, but he has a lot of gold on the right next to the TC, so not much of a problem in the long run. I would be expecting that actually Destroyer, since he isn't doing anything all that much, is going to be just fully booming and doesn't really have all that many upgrades. I would be expecting a bit more at 12 minutes. Since he isn't engaging on the right or on the left, he might be just jumping fast into Mythic, but so far that's not really the case. And that's player 3, right? 900, 300. He doesn't even have the resources for it yet, but could be there quite close. So, yep, let's see. He's gonna join into the fights pretty soon, because I'm kinda expecting that on the left is going to be needed reasonably soon, as Puma is not in a good situation. As against Elephants, he doesn't have a defense. Like at all. I think he kinda underestimated the situation. Not exactly sure how that happened, but it did. And this trade route might not be as safe as he would have hoped, because if he loses this TC, yeah, it's not safe at all. Literally at all. Nice side build at the back. Unfortunately, it has been noticed by Superas, so yeah, it's not going to be really all that safe at all. And we are also seeing a pretty strong attack right now of both Superas and Skyfire from the right, and it's looking quite well for them so far, as this combination against Iron Maiden, who isn't receiving any kind of help so far from Destroyer, seems like just now going into there. We are probably going to be seeing pretty tough times coming in, as the late help will be definitely noticeable, and we'll see if this is going to be fast enough or not. A lot of gold, a lot of economy overall, but unfortunately not really. Finally Thoth coming up, not really in the army as well, which would definitely help a lot more than the Mythical Age just about now. And those siege towers are definitely a pretty big threat. There's not much that Iron Maiden can do about it, but much more importantly, he's also going to lose gold economy in here. That's pretty tough for him, and there's not much that the Meteoros could be actually doing right now, because there is not any kind of attack, and we are seeing Ancestors being cast into the economy, and that's going to be Meteors then? Yeah, that's double. You can see those Ancestors right now having fly rate. So Iron Maiden has lost the front DC, but looking like he's not really gonna get good spawn, or rather good hit, but this sounded like a good hit, and a lot of houses actually dead. Purple, I don't know, what could it be color? 6? No. 5? Yeah, 5. 130, so he's pretty badly housed right about now. This position, and oh man, that's some pretty sick shifting sands at the bottom, at the gold of Iron Maiden. He's having so hard times. Oh man, this is really not going all that well right about now for AoLs, and especially Iron Maiden is getting absolutely hammered, and there's like a limited chance for him to actually defend against this. As at the top, we are seeing, unfortunately, oh, this almost looks like a drop. Unfortunately, this looks like a drop. Come on, come on, move, units, move, drop. Oof. Yeah, bit of a hits in there in the connection, but it's looking like it's going to survive. But unfortunately, really, Iron Maiden is right now in a pretty horrible situation, as even though on the left Puma is in a pretty decent situation, not really sure what Skyfire's connection is doing right now. It's not really good news. Let's just finish with this. We are also seeing that Puma is somehow able to defend, but he has lost the Migdol. He has rebuilt one right next to gold, so that's at least something, but still a pretty difficult situation. And with Super S right now advancing into Mythical Age, the battlefield on the right is really going to be pretty tough, especially since Skyfire is going to be at 40 Cs, which will allow him to basically spam mercenaries into the base of his opponent right off. Come on, this is really not funny. It's kind of like... Yeah, of course, getting rid of the trade, which is yet another problem right now for AoL Destroyer. And what's going to be his response? Right now he's building Migdol, so it seems like that AoLs are most definitely not giving up. You can see that Iron Maiden is also still having fight in him, but he's of course having problems with the Petsucos and the budget even. And the Vortex coming into the left, which is of course going to be pretty strong double, especially considering the Satyrs and how many Destroyers as a siege support for those siege towers. Not much, about 2 or 3, but yeah, Puma is right now recognizing that this will be basically his end, and AoLs are resigning across the board, and this was a very nicely played match from Suits in both of these games, and they are going to be advancing into the next round, in round 2 of the Bad Luck Bracket. So nicely played, and GG. Nicely done. Unfortunately, it looked like the Destroyer took a bit more time than was necessary to set up himself and help on the right side or on the left, but really kinda curious how Wide Awake was able to actually overpower the problems that he had at the start. Yep, Destroyer, he did take his DC in there. But really, this was kinda curious because it seemed like that Puma, through the Ancestors, did a pretty great job of stalling Wide Awake, and since he was going for just 1 TC and Puma was already at 2 TCs well after advance, it was kind of probably underestimation of the situation. I'm thinking he probably didn't expect the elephants from the ISIS, and those they basically owned him because he wasn't ready with the barracks. He was having just 1 Migdol. Yeah, that's not going to help you to defend all that much against those, because Elise are pretty strong tanks and can take a lot of punishment. Alright, that was nicely played by Girls and Boys. Let's check the post game then. Superas. Well, why not? He was playing well. Iron Maiden didn't play how bad either. But yeah, he was doubled at a pretty correct moment by Suits, and they made the most out of the situation in there. Really bad economies. Destroyer having the best, of course. Yeah. Okay then. GG.